Good afternoon. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Rob Tlucky, and I had the pleasure of growing up with Laura. And so when Peter called me and asked me if I would say a few words, I was more than honored. In fact, I'm kind of floored that I would be doing this, and unexpected to be here at such an early time in someone's life. But you know what, Laura and I grew up together. We knew each other very well, and those of you who knew her well, I got to say this, you know, Laura loved ghost hunting. And so when Peter called me, I said, Peter, bring that ghost hunting kit, let's fire it up. Maybe we'll get a couple of signs. But, you know, as I think about it, you know, as I thought about that, you know, I don't need any signs. And I know you don't need any signs. Because I know, and I can feel that Laura is in the room. She's inside of all of your hearts that are here. And I know her spirit's here with us right now. There's a lot of people here from the old neighborhood, Buckeye Woodland. And I got to tell you, growing up in that neighborhood, we had a sense of family. We all grew up. We all went to the same grade school. We all went to the same parties. We all had the same friends. We all got into the same trouble together. And as time goes on, we've all managed to keep tabs on each other. We all know when somebody's hurting. We all know when somebody's passed away. And we know this even before social media came out. And now with Facebook and social media, it just, news travels so fast. We get the information instantaneously. And it's these days that I open up Facebook every day, and it's not a day that goes by that I read something about somebody's mom passing away, somebody's sibling passing away, somebody's cousin, somebody's loved one, somebody's dearest friends. And after doing this, and I finally realized, I know now why all the millennials are on Instagram. Carm, Steve, Peter, the departure of Laura is hitting you guys the hardest, and I know that. I know that because my mom and my sister just recently passed away. And I know, Carm, when my sister passed away, my mom was a mess. You're not supposed to lose a child before you. And she would say that over and over. And one day she's here and one day she's not. And it's my daughter, it's my baby, and she's gone. And so I have a sense of what you're going through. And my heart, all of our hearts go out to you. And we're here for you whenever you need us. Because when I was going through it, and I still am going through it, Laura was the person I called. And I leaned on her, and she held me up. And it's my duty to do the same thing for you. So don't hesitate. Get in touch. We'll go to lunch, we'll drink coffee, we'll talk. Anything you want, I'm here, and that's for all of you. Okay? Peter wanted me to make this lighthearted. But it's a funeral. When I heard the news of Laura's departure, and I did open up the social media, and I saw everybody, and I saw Darlene, and I saw people posting all the wonderful things about Laura, and the only thing that kept hitting me was that song by Christopher Cross, When You Think of Laura. And I listened to that song, and I played that song a million times these past couple weeks in my car, just over and over and over. There's nothing really much more to say than the lyrics of those songs, and I want to share those with you right now. Every once in a while, I'd see her smile, and it would turn my day around. A girl with those eyes could stare through the lies and see what your heart was saying. A friend of a friend till the end. That's the kind of girl she was, taken away so young, taken away without warning. See, I knew Laura well, and the main part of this song is when you think of Laura, laugh, don't cry. I know she'd want it that way, and I know you all know she'd want it that way. She was fun, exciting, naturally hilarious, snarky in a way, but also sweet, caring, and concerned for everyone's well-being. There's been times in my life I've had terrible situations. I've been struggles with relationships, with people in my family, and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And I would call Laura, and Laura always had the right thing to say. She would say things like, well, listen, you just need to talk to them. You need to explain your side of the story. You let them know how you feel. For example, I just had to sit Peter down the other day, and now he knows better too. Laura was a hippie. She would really belong to another time. She's a leftover from the 1960s love-ins, but we had her here in our time with us. And that's what made her truly special to us. Her laughter was infectious, her sarcasm unmatched. And I think that I am correct in saying that she showed up to all of us in a very similar way. But as you all, but as with all of us, she also showed up to each of us as an individual person, unknown to everybody else. I have a version of Laura that matches your version of Laura, but I have a version of Laura that's just all my own, and I'm keeping it to myself. And I shouldn't say I'm keeping it to myself, I'm keeping it in my heart. So in honor of Laura's memory, and everything, in every way she touched all of us, this is the part where you guys get to take the floor, because I know that y'all have some stories, I know that y'all have some memories, and if there's anything that you want to share, now's the time to do it. And I see some of you that I know very well, and I know you have something to say, so would you please just stand up, I'll bring you the microphone, you can say anything, we'll just do it over here, we'll do it over here so the camera can get you, we're on live TV. No pressure. It's not just in this room. So anyone just come up. I have a story, and it was really just a story about, it's not what Laura and I used to pull tricks on each other all the time. We were at Tim and Val, they're here today. We were at their wedding, and I just constantly remember the story. And it's something I pulled on Laura. Well, Valerie and Tim were at their wedding reception, and they're dancing, and they knew everybody at their reception. I kept going to the DJ, and I kept requesting songs for Wanda, and I would point Laura, I'm like, that's Wanda. I play this song for Wanda, and so the DJ would get up on the microphone. This next song goes out to Wanda. She didn't know I was doing it. Valerie didn't know I was doing it. And after about 3 or 4 of these, Valerie comes up to the DJ. She goes, "Who the hell is Wanda?" And the DJ goes, "That's her right there." And so Valerie goes up to Laura and goes, "Why are you requesting songs?" And she goes, "I don't know who the hell's doing it." And it was me. It was me, and it's just one of a million stories, and I try to rack my brain for more stories, but my mind seems to be clouded with everything, and I know you guys have one story. I know somebody has one story, so come on up. Don't be afraid. Get up here. And as we get the ball rolling, I know more of you are going to think of things, so search your heart, search your memory. I know you have something. Take it away.
Hi. I'm not going to really tell a story. I just want to say that my name's Lynn. I'm an alcoholic. Oh, wait, different name. I'm dressed totally appropriate for her. I met Laura in the early 80s. She was a wee little teenager. I worked at the neighborhood deli at the end of your street, Bex. I met all the kids in the neighborhood working at that store, and I became part of that neighborhood. And Laura always had a smile on her face, China doll shoes on her feet, hippie chick shirt, and that smile and that joke. And even then, she had a really old soul. and I was just drawn to her. And my first roommate was her best friend Sharon, Bubba Sharon. So it became Bubba Sharon, Bubba Lynn, and Auntie L. And even in hard times, she always had a way to make us laugh. And I don't know if you remember the cat with the broken tail that she healed in your basement. That was my cat. I was in between moving. She was a caretaker. The cat got the tail stuck in the door, and I had to have her get it amputated with the vets, but I was in the middle of moving. Laura nursed that cat in your basement, and I knew she was a keeper before that, but after that, and she's such a caretaker. And she was supposed to be out, talking about me at my funeral. But anyway, and the fact that you made us laugh, I am dressed completely appropriately in this shirt I picked up on one of my many beach trips to the Mother Ocean. And it comes from a raw bar named Peg Leg Pete. And that goes with her favorite yoga position.
I don't think I could get through this without looking at people, or with looking at people, so I'm not going to look at people, so I apologize for being rude, but I don't think I can get through this if I do. So, anyway, Laura was one of my best friends. Laura was one of everyone's Laura's best friends with everybody. I could name 7 people right off the bat that Laura was best friends with, but I wouldn't because I'd be leaving people out, so that's just the kind of person she was. Aside from being known for breaking hearts all over town, Laura was known for her storytelling. So I'm going to tell a story in honor of Laura, but this is a story that no one's ever heard before, not even her. So here we go. On March 10th, me and Sharon went to visit Carm, and Carm had said, hey, if you want to go, look in Laura's room, you're more than welcome to. If you want to, grab a couple things that make you remember her by, you're more than welcome to. So that's what I did, and on my way out, I saw a ring in a trinket box, and I picked it up, and I'm like, is this a school ring? Because it was really tarnished, but the stone was beautiful, but I couldn't see, so I'm like, hey Pete, is this a school ring? He's like, I don't know. So I go downstairs, and I'm like, hey Carm, I think I found Laura's school ring, but it's so tarnished, I can't really tell. I mean, it was just, you could tell it was just like on the bottom of whatever it was in there with. It was just not everything else in her room had like its own little place, and it was just very enchanting kind of. But then you see this ring, and Carm said, no, Nora, no, it can't be Laura's ring. It can't be, because that Andy Ardo has Laura's ring. So the ring's at this point with Sharon. Sharon's looking at the ring. I don't know. So brilliant. She's like, just take a picture of it. So we take a picture, and she's like, yeah, Nora, remember they were dating, and I love you, Carm, by the way, I'm so sorry. They were dating, and he moved, so they exchanged rings, and she never got the ring back. So at this point, I'm enlarging the photo, and I'm looking at the ring, and I see B-E-A-U. I'm like, this is definitely her ring. you know, and she's like, and all this time, I mean, we're talking 37 years, I think? 37 years, like she's kept this secret to herself, like this joke, and like, it's just classic. It's classic Laura, you know? It's like, all this time I thought it was that Andy Ardo. And she said, well, you went to Beaumont. Why don't you take it? I'm like, oh no, lady. I went there for 2 years. I graduated from Shaker. I hated that school. And she said, but so did she. But no, I could not take that. But it was just, it was so fun that I even took a photo. Well, I did take a photo. Here's the ring. Oh, the ring. Sharon put the ring back in the, I'm guessing, on her dresser or trinket box or something. Sharon grabbed the ring and ran it back upstairs.
I think I did put it back upstairs.
Yeah. It should be up there somewhere. But yeah, I have a picture of the ring. Oh, no. No, that's bad mojo for me. Anything with having to do with Beaumont. No, thank you. I'm not the one. Maria, where are you? Lori, new shoots? But yeah, I am not the one. But yeah, I just love that story. And Andy, if you're out there, Andy Ardo, sorry, bro. No hard feelings. We're all good. The ring is safe. And I just want to say that Laura was one of the most incredible people I've ever met in my life. And I'll never forget her. Thank you for all the rides. I never drove. She drove everywhere. That's why I didn't mind her being late, you know? But her makeup was always on point. But yeah, and she was, even though she was a great storyteller, she was a great listener too. And I'll never forget her. She'll always be in my heart. And that's all I have.
Good afternoon. My name is Deanna Taylor, and I am Pete's brother from another mother. We literally grew up together from the bassinet and diapers on. Like, I've known him all of my life. He will get Medicare before me by a couple months. Yeah, just a little bit. And that's the running joke, because I was like the baby, 78 baby of the street. There were a couple other people born a few months before me, but I'm the baby, 78. And I met Laura through Pete. And I have to say, I thought I was funny and snarky, but when I met Laura, I truly met my match with her. There was never a time that I was with Laura that she didn't make me laugh, even in the worst moments of my life. She was there to comfort me when I lost my dad in 2011. And the one thing that I will always love about Laura was how she loved my brother. There were some people that were suspect in his life. But when Laura came, she added a spark in him that I had never seen before. She softened him, and they were just the power couple. The one funny story I have was back in 2014, we went to the Todd Rundgren concert. I love Todd Rundgren. And that surprised Laura. She's like, what? I said, yeah, that's my boy. I love Todd. I mean, he's the best. I love him. And we were looking for tickets for Todd. We were gonna travel to the moon to see Todd. We just wanted to go see Todd Rundgren. And finally he was coming to Cleveland. And she was like, sis, yo, Todd Rundgren is coming. I was like, oh, we're there. I was like, talk to Pete. He's like, we're there. And we went and we had the best time. We drove in a blizzard. We didn't care. We was like, Pete, slide us to the concert. He's like, I don't know. We was like, go faster, go faster. He's like, it's snowing. We're like, we are not going to be late to this concert. And we made it there, sliding to the concert. And we just had so much fun. We blew a little bit of Pete's money gambling. She was like, get $20 from Pete. It's okay. I'm like, sure about that? I'm like, I think she's like, no, just go grab $20. Pete got this. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, brother Pete, I just need 20. And so we just had so much fun. But to be around her was to love her. And you always felt better. I don't care how bad you felt. You could have been at your lowest, and she was going to take you back up to your highest. And I am going to miss my girl. I'm going to miss the smart aleck comments that we would make to each other about things, all comedic and all fun. I'm going to miss her smile, but like you said, Rob, her smile is always going to be in our hearts. And I too was like, man, I'm going to a funeral and this is how I look. And I saw kind of Laura's face like, nah, don't even trip. It's all good. So I just want to say to Steve, Mama Carm, big brother from another mother who's gonna get Medicare before me, I love you all so much. You know I am here for you. I am, truly am. I love you.
So I brought paper because I'm really tired. My name is Jen, and I, along with many others, worked with Laura at Anna Maria a million years ago. It's unbelievably difficult for me to believe that we are here to mourn the death of somebody who was that tall, but larger than life. So Pete requested that I speak, and I had two pretty serious reservations about this. One of them was that although Laura can no longer be arrested, the rest of us that worked at Anna Maria can. The other thing that I was very concerned about, and please forgive me, ma'am, how am I ever going to say the things that we said in front of Laura's mother? I am so sorry. The only thing, I have a daughter, and I know she's an asshole, so I'm hoping that you know the same about yours. So, Pete told me that he wanted everybody to keep it real. So, I think back, there's a quote in Steel Magnolias by Olympia Dukakis, her Clary Belcher character, said, as somebody always said, if you can't say anything nice about anybody, come sit near me. That's Laura. Our group that we had, we weren't Jen and Laura and Amy and Lori. We were the football team, so it was all by our last name. unless she really loved you. Because then you were the slut, or the whore, or the skank, or the C-word cake, or, God, I'm so sorry. The twat rocket as the person who was expelled from your mother's womb. And that was love. And unfortunately, a lot of us still refer to each other in such a way, which is great because sharing the love, but we forget to remember our audience. So when I refer to somebody that I've just met as this, it's bad. Our patients were no exception to the name game. She did not come up with all of these. However, we all participated in the game. We had the gentleman who had skin cancer on his ear, and part of his ear was missing. Thus, he was Evander Holyfield. We had the gentleman who had a little teeny tiny spot of skin cancer on his cheek, and for whatever reason, his family decided not to do anything with this until half of his cheek was gone, and then the whole cheek, so he was face off. The lady who had skin cancer on her nose and unfortunately had to get a skin graft from her leg, which then continued to grow hair for the rest of her life, was Avatar. The point of those three is definitely wear sunscreen, because that didn't go well. We also had the young lady, early 40s, late 30s maybe. She was a traumatic brain injury patient. Had the memory of a gnat. She was 51st dates. Yeah. We had a woman who had dementia, Alzheimer's, and spent probably the last 7-8 years of her life catching the bus to go to the Girl Scout meeting. So when this woman passed away and we told Mortellaro, her response, I'm so sorry. So I guess she finally caught that fucking bus, huh? She and I worked on different units that was her, in different buildings. There was not one night that passed, ever, that she did not call me, and the introduction to the call was, hey, I have a question, which then, over time, got shortened to, question. These questions were never medical related. It was never, hey, I have this, so what do you think of this? It was some sort of, to make fun of the staff, or make fun of the system, or the residents. For example, for employee appreciation, now please remember we work night shift, which, as you can tell by the stories, it's probably best that we did stay on that shift away from the rest of the people, but, right, the civilized folk, right. Just keep the idiots in the dark, right. So employee appreciation, you know, you get pizza and you get this and you get that, unless you're night shift. Then you get the leftovers of whatever anybody else didn't want. So the question of that night was, so do you want petrified cheese pizza or the moldy pepperoni pizza? Because either one I'll bring to you. Yeah. There were questions about doctor's orders. For example, the one, and this is Laura, why the fuck does a woman with polio who hasn't walked since 1822 need gripper socks so she doesn't slip and fall? The answer to that one was as obvious as the double amputee who needed the same socks. This one was one of my personal favorites. And this is her storytelling at its finest, because this is all a question. So she called, and my last name, by the way, is Gurzeni, but not to Laura. It was Grzeni to Laura, because that's what she said. So she calls me, Grzeni, question. Yes, Laura. If you can't walk fast enough because of physical disability, but need to poop, do you try to make it to the secret pooping bathroom, or do you pick the closest one? Now, I don't have a chance to answer that because she's got it lined up. Answer, the closest one. So then she asks me, you got an extra aid you can send me, because mine had to leave because she shit herself. And absolutely true story. I can't remember the girl's name, but it was bad. No, ma'am, we loved her. She was often tactless, shameless, fearless, guileless, mostly harmless, but never ever heartless. She did not make fun of anybody in a way that she didn't make fun of herself. She was a person that thought more deeply than the rest of us, more esoterically. She was sick and she was twisted and she was a little bit psychopathic, but that's okay. When she and I would have conversations, and there were many, over time those conversations had proven that our thought process and humor process was relatively the same. So as we're talking the one morning, she has this epiphany. Grzeni, we're kindred spirits. To which it's been 21, 22 years, and I still don't know whether that's a really great, oh yay, the feel goods, or I'm supposed to think, oh shit. I do know, though, our Mortellaro, the little Polly Pocket with her turtle necklace and her canvas Japanese Mary Jane shoes and that hippie boho purse that even when she wore it crossbody hung down to her freaking ankles. She's the best silly, stinky, raunchy, smelly skank that we have ever had the honor to laugh with and to love. She was, in our little football team, kind of the leader of the assholes. That's it.
Laura was the best person to do absolutely nothing with before we were responsible. That was my favorite thing to do, is absolutely nothing with her. And I remember one time for like an hour, we were sitting in the car in the school parking lot, and we would just sing Cyndi Lauper songs in the style of Elmer Fudd. With your walls, you can walk and you will find me. Time after time, time after time. I had to learn.
I'm a privileged aunt to know Laura. her dad and my husband were brothers. She spent a lot of time at my house because our daughters were the same age as she and her brother. I'm not loud enough? That's a rarity. And it was so much fun to live so close together that Steve and Carmen, John and I and the kids were always seeing each other. Laura, we had many sleepovers in my house. We used to step over young girls in the morning, didn't even know who they were sometimes. But Laura, and we loved her so much, she actually had her own designated bed in our house. She had her own room. It was actually just a screened-in back upstairs porch, but she loved it. And we loved having her there. She was always willing, always, how are you, Andy? How are you, Uncle John? How, just hugs all the time. I remember one time we had to go out of town. I believe Darlene had to stay home because she had a job. And so I asked Laura, because we had a dog, a German Shepherd named Smokey, and we said, and he loved Laura, he adored her, and she loved him. So we asked her, Laura, would you mind just coming in the middle of the day to let the dog out and make sure he has food and water? And she was thrilled, I think. I think she liked the dog better than some of us. But, when we got home, the dog looked great, because you always worry your dog's not going to eat. Sometimes you like your dog better than a lot of the family. And she, I said to her, Laura, thank you so much for taking such good care of him. I know you love him. And she goes, oh, no problem, Andy. And just before she was leaving, she goes, oh, by the way, Auntie, he loves hot dogs and Kool-Aid. So now I know why the dog loved her so much. Thank you. And I don't think I've come completely with grips with this, but I will, as all of us will. And we loved her so dearly.
Hi, good afternoon. My name's Carolyn. None of you have ever heard of me because I was always known as Babs. And I told my family that I was so heartbroken that I lost my friend of 30 years, Laura, and they said, who the hell is that? Because I only ever called her Ariel. So, I guess it's better it's not like shithead or something after that last story. So yeah, I'm Babs. And, so I just want to, talk about, Peter for a minute and Sharon. I lost my soulmate just like, a minute ago. His name was Guy. None of you ever heard of him because he was always referred to as Chase. So Chase and Babs. And it ended everything for me. And so I know how some of you are going to be feeling. And it's not good enough to just say, I'm here for you. You gotta reach out to them like Ariel did to me. Now I moved away. I live about an hour away, and since I lost Chase, Ariel came to see me many times, and we just did nothing. We just sat there and did nothing. Like you said, we just did nothing, and it meant the world to me. So I want you all to do the same thing now. and just don't sit back and wait for somebody to call you. Take Ariel's example and you call them and do nothing and make them laugh and just sing a song.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pete's mom. And I just want to say that Laura was like a daughter to me. I had 3 boys, so I was always in quest of daughters. And Laura was especially loving, easy to love, easy to laugh with. And she did so much for my son that I will be eternally grateful to the role she played in his life. And we'll help Pete get through this, as will all of you in this room. It's amazing to see the outpouring of love that he can generate. There were many times in his life when he was not lovable, but he is I want to say that Laura was a nurse, and my mother was a nurse. So right away, there was a bond there that I was able to embrace her for that profession that they both shared. Had I known what was going on out at that Anna Maria place or whatever it was, I might have felt differently. Oh, it's safe now? Okay, good. I might have felt differently, but I never heard the too raunchy side of Laura, but I loved her. She was just a great gal. I would love to spend the rest of our lives together enjoying Pete and just enjoying being a family. I feel so deeply for Carm. To have only one daughter and to lose her is very, very challenging. I know I lost a son a year and a half ago, and I'm still getting over that. It's just hard, and there's no doubt about it. I want to thank Laura and Peter for the way they reached out to my grandchildren who also lost their dad. And they just gave so much of their time to these 2 children. And it made a lot of difference in their lives. So thank you, Laura. We'll always remember you. We'll always remember the love, the laughs, the care. And Carm, Steve, Pete, we'll keep you all in our prayers and always remember what a good, loving person Laura was. Thank you. Come on, is there anybody else?
For every
Anybody else I
member-
can hand the mic off
For
to?
every member of Pete's family, the minute she was introduced to Pete's family, she came to us with hugs and love for all of Pete's family.
Right. Well, there are a lot of Pete's, everybody here is Pete's family, and we know that.
Yes.
Anyone else want to come up? If not, that's okay. I have one more story. Nora, I didn't know that was you, but I just remember, Laura used to imitate your mother to a T. Nora's mother is Hungarian descent, and Nora got caught smoking one time, and her mother flipped the lid, and I didn't hear this, but Laura called me up. She goes, yeah, I was over there, and Nora got caught smoking, and you should have seen Judy. Look at Nora, all grown up, smoking that cigarette. I didn't know that was you at first. Had I known, I would have said that story a little earlier. Does anyone else would like to come up and share thoughts, share memories, share some hope? Anyone at all?
Hey, Nora, 1990 called.
If not, did you want to? Yeah, absolutely. So bring Peter up.
Hey everybody, my name is Pete Malota and I'm an alcoholic. I actually do a fair amount of public speaking in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And we always start with the Serenity Prayer. So if anybody care to join me, we're going to say the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can. With some I'm gonna fight my way through this as far as crying. I was at a meeting once, and a female rabbi led the meeting, and she said one of the most intimate things that you can do with another human being is pray. And I'm going to share another prayer that Laura and I would, especially when we went on road trips, we would pray together every morning. I'd kind of do my morning prayer with her, and we'd hold hands. And this is a prayer that I have come to know and I love and I share with people. O great Spirit, whose voice I hear in the wind and whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me. I come before you, one of your many children. I'm small and weak. I need your strength and wisdom. Let me walk in beauty. Make my eyes ever behold the red and purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things that you have made. My ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise so I may know the things you've taught my people, lessons you've hidden in the leaf and the rock. I seek strength, not to be superior to my brothers, but so I may fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make my hands clean and my eyes straight, so that when my life fades as a fading sunset, my spirit may come to you without shame. Amen. I was not sure how I was going to go about this, but I was hemming and hawing for so long that I decided I couldn't write like a formal eulogy. And I didn't think that was going to be right for this anyway, so I decided to just kind of write some talking points and different stuff. I'm going to try to get through it as fast as I can, because I know a lot of you are tired of standing or tired of sitting, and the brain can only absorb as much as the ass will endure. So I just start by saying that Laura saved my life. She saved my life, period. If it weren't for that woman, I'd more than likely be dead today. Or it certainly would not be even a shadow of the man I am today. And I actually, feel comfortable calling myself a man today. And I wasn't before I met her. She had many names. Mortellaro. Right? Listen, real quick. I called her ex-husband, Michael. I went through her phone and found his number, and I messaged him. We had a real wonderful conversation, and we'd never spoken before, and but we knew who each other were, and he was heartbroken, and he was happy that I reached out to him. He's a good man. But yeah, Mortellaro was never my favorite name because it was his name. So she was Yamor to me, and she was Baby and Honey and Charlie and Charles and and Meech and Meechy Pie and Meechacho and all these other names. Rarely was it Laura, but if there was extra concern, it was Laura. I wrote down here, alcoholics fall ass backwards into relationships with amazing women. I have no idea how it happened. Well, I can tell you how it started. I introduced myself. I did pull the old George Costanza move on her. I said, "My name is Pete. I'm unemployed and I live with my parents." And it was the absolute truth, and she did not run away. So I grabbed hold of her. That night we met. Amy introduced us, and we wound up figuring out we had a lot of people in common, and it was, so we're like, how have we never met, And I could go on and on. I could go on and on about a lot of things. Believe me, it's hard to narrow all this stuff down. But one thing that happened that night, when I wrote "An Unlikely Kiss." Okay, this is my watering hole. We're standing in, right? I mean, I fucking live in this place, and I don't just go kissing girls in here, because I'm going to hear about it. And for whatever reason, I decided to pull this cute little girl into me, and I gave her this kiss, and it was amazing. We had this, the old proverbial fireworks, and it was, it was special. And I remember the next night. I mean, listen, you don't want to know what I was doing the night before I met her. I was up till the sun came up, and I went to the bar to recover, and in walks this little person later in the evening. And then I was up all night that night. The next night, we're like texting, and she wants to hang out. I'm like, okay, man. I'm dragging myself out of bed. I go to the bar. I'm drinking screwdrivers, trying to get myself right, just so I can stand. And I go meet her at the House of Swing on Mayfield Road, because the guy who was here earlier, his name's Big Daddy, I believe, was playing. And when I got there, she's like, "Hey, come with me," and she would walk me towards the back, and there's turns right towards the bathrooms, and she grabbed me, pulled me close to her, and she planted this big kiss on me, and I was like, "Oh, good, okay." So she liked that one last night, and needless to say, we were together ever since. I remember talking to Stephanie, who's a late friend of ours. She was a bartender at my bar, and she wound up getting sober, and that was somebody who I, loved watching her get sober. And I remember, this drunken afternoon talking to Steph, and she's kind of meeting her at the bar, and she's like, "So what about Laura?" She kind of knew who she was. She's like, "Well, Steph is a mean, big, tough girl, right?" And she's like, "What about this Laura? Are you guys like an item to get know or what?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I like her. She's kind of crazy, And she looked at me. She says, "Who the fuck are you?" I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm pretty crazy too. I guess it works out. There was a night we went out to Geneva, and we both kind of recognized that was kind of the weekend that we fell in love, or that we realized that we loved each other. Went out to visit our buddy Larry. I don't know if Larry's still here. He was here earlier. And I just remember a couple of the moments from that weekend, looking at this person and looking in her eyes, and there was that feeling. It was there, kind of new. And I also put, a little asterisk, because I put putting up with each other's drunkenness. There was, certainly more on my side, but like that week, I remember just being so overly imbibed. You know what I mean? And being annoying as hell that night, but the next morning it was all forgiven and everything was fine. Yeah, I forgotten too, right? Conveniently. But it was the door swung both ways. I remember one night we were really drunk. That's how I start those stories. Man, we were really drunk, and we were arguing. Listen, I wouldn't even have to take my shoes off to count the number of times me and her fought. Okay. It was rare, but we were arguing or whatever, because again, it was drunk and stuff, and we're in her car, and I'm in the driver's seat for some reason. She's in the passenger seat, and she was wiggled down into the seat, and she literally broke her own windshield, kicking it, right? It's what are you doing? Stop. And like later that night, we were at her house, and she just got all mad. She literally walks out of the house at like 4:30 in the morning in her panties and a shirt, and she's just marching down the street because she doesn't want to deal with me anymore. I'm like running down the street, like, come on, baby, back here, you know, get her back to the house. Oh my God, just madness, you know. You know, and that was, you know, for the times, there was 2.5 years we were together while we were still out there qualifying, as we say, okay? And, you know, sure, there were many great times and laughs and, you know, good things with people and things we did, but, you know, shit was wearing on her, you know, she was done with that lifestyle. And, you know, she was, you know, there were a couple times where she was, you know, she was done. You know, she would say she's leaving, that's it. She'd want to break up. I was so persuasive, you know. I would call her. I'd have my little nephew, Ryan, who was about 4 years old at the time, put him on the phone and have him say, hey, Auntie